we had bills and we would invest and we would pay things off, but it almost seems like it took forever. When we started with the program, we had five or so major bills that we had to pay. We're down to one now in 3 years. There was no way we could have gotten those things paid out the way we have. It's just an unbelievable pressure release. Hey, we just paid that out. And now we're working on a bill that we thought it would take us years before we even consider working on. And all of a sudden, we're thinking, okay, this is the last one. That's a conversation we would have never been able to even think about. And probably by next year, we're going to be able to start tackling our mortgage because we've gotten all those things paid. And in the meantime, we lived. We didn't have to sacrifice vacation. I didn't have to go and get a second job or anything. That's unbelievable.
Working toward debt freedom by implementing the process of becoming your own banker, the infinite banking concept. We are excited to be joined today by Recas Forbes. Now, Recas Forbes, this is his world debut on a podcast. We're super excited to have him. Residing in Calgary for the past few decades, has a beautiful wife and two children. And he heard about IBC, what we're talking about here, the infinite banking concept, and heard about it a few years ago, decided to get started, and has some great things to share with all of you today. Because what we're describing today, we're talking about the client series, and we love to have existing clients, real people sharing real experiences at different parts of their journey. And as you're making progress through your own experience with the process of becoming your own banker, you've got a great series of client episodes so that you can hear directly from people who are just like you, who are implementing this in their family and their business or both. And so it gives me great pleasure to welcome Recas Forbes, along with Sarblo Gill, authorized infinite banking practitioner, amazing colleague on Team Ascendant, as we like to refer to our teammates as Ascenders. And also joined by Richard Canfield from Chilliwack, BC, otherwise known as the WAC. And so, gentlemen, welcome to the show. Recas, it's such a pleasure to have you. Welcome to Wealth Without Bay Street.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Sure. Excited to talk about this.
Sarbo, let's dive in. Where do you want to begin with Recas?
Well, let's, just chat about Recas' journey. So Recas, if you don't mind sharing with everybody, when did you discover the process of becoming a banker? And as you were going through that education process, what was your reaction to what you were learning? And I still remember this goes back into 2018 when we used to do live events. And I was standing in the back of the room and looking ahead to everybody who everybody attending were looking towards the speaker in the front. And Recas, you were on my left-hand side.
Yeah.
Second row from the front, and the first person sitting on the row.
That's right. So, well, I hope I wasn't doing anything embarrassing. Or...
No, you weren't. This is 2018 November, I think, right?
Yeah. Stumble remembers these things.
Yeah. You know what? I'm going to go with what you said.
Okay, cool.
I'm not going to second guess you. Yeah. So I'll just talk about how I got there. Like I know I started in 2018. That was the first meeting I went to, but I had been listening to the IBC, and I'm going to forget his name, who ran the program in 2018, and he would have saw on the radio quite a bit on the weekends. So I think for at least 2 years before so about 2015, I kept listening to this, but saying, oh, it's just another, what? And then I struggle on with whatever I was doing. And then one day I was sitting in a parking lot in Costco, and for some reason the program was on, and they were talking about this was in 2018, they were talking about the upcoming program. I thought, you know what? I have absolutely nothing to lose to go and check this thing out. Go, talk about this stuff, and I'll say, see, it's exactly what I thought. I'm out of here. I did it. That was not the case. When I got there, and from the minute we started that, I was like, okay, I was totally wrong. Absolutely wrong. If I had started this in 2015, I think of, I just started imagining right that very morning, what if it started when I first heard about this program. And it's just been a great journey since then. And, working with Sourblom, yeah, never looked back. When I look back, I just look back with regret because I didn't start earlier. And I think so, yeah. So, it was from that day on, things I could truly say things that really easier for us, a lot easier for us. Absolutely.
Wow. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And what's interesting for anybody who's out there listening or even watching, if you're sitting in the parking lot of a Costco and you've been, hearing a lot about this process and this message, and you find yourself thinking, if I had only got started sooner, or you're hearing these client series episodes and wondering, okay, how can this work for me? One of the things that you may want to do just to add to your journey of learning, just head on over to 7steps.ca. That's 7steps.ca. When you get there, it's going to be a guide that you can you click, you put your first name, your email, you get the guide. 7 steps to becoming your own banker, whether it's step 1, step 3, step 5, step 2, whatever step resonates with you the most. 7steps.ca. And when you get there, let us know who you are, download the guide. And if you like it, great, continue that journey. And if you don't, as long as you leave happy and you've got some extra kindling for your fireplace, that'll be okay too. But getting back to Recas, so Recas, lead us through what has been your primary experience with this process up to this point, because I understood Sarblo was sharing that it's been really advantageous for you as you're working toward, debt freedom, financial freedom, and maybe take us through that journey.
I think if I had to sum it up in one word, and I can go into detail, it's cash flow. You know, that was the most amazing thing about it is the cash flow that we freed up without actually having to do anything differently. Again, when we heard it at first, I thought that's impossible. It's not. So, we had accounts, we had little savings there, we had little savings there. We had a TFSAs but we always found we were saving, yes, as best as we can, but that whole saving was a chore. We always ended up a little bit short. Hey, we were saving to live later, but it was difficult, or it was a challenge to live for now, because the cash came in and then it left. And, it went into accounts and, savings and bills and everyday life things like that. However, with this program, and I don't want to jump too far ahead, but with this program, what has been so amazing is the fact that we didn't have to work any harder. We didn't have to, we didn't, the only thing we changed was how the money was flowing. And, you know, when I first talked to my wife about it, she's very reluctant. It's like, trust me, I'm not doing justice of explaining how this whole thing works, but just trust me enough. We've been together on for so long. Just trust me enough to know that this, it's like, oh, we already have a guy. And it's like, no, trust me, we want to do this. And after we signed up, she's a little bit reluctant as we shifted things around and as we move forward through life. And as, we've had major things that broke that we had to replace. And, instead of having to go and finance it, all of a sudden, oh, hey, you know what? We can actually pay cash for that. It's like, well, really? It's like, no, absolutely. And so really, so we don't have to do what we did before. Nope. We can just go ahead and we can just go ahead and make the purchase and it's covered. We don't have to worry about any sort of taking on new debt or anything like that. And, and the great thing about it is amazingly, as we're doing this and as we're getting, it's so counterintuitive. It's unbelievable. As we're spending more, or not more, as we're spending, we realize we're still saving towards retirement. How is that possible? But it is, and that's the one thing for sure. The biggest thing for us is that cash flow and still knowing we're working towards our end goal of retiring comfortably, and we're still saving, but we're still spending also.
Well, I love when you said, we're saving to live now
You're right.
and we don't have to wait until later. That was so powerful.
Exactly. That's that's the one thing that we really, amongst many things, it was definitely something we're so appreciating right now.
Thank you for sharing that, Recas. That's amazing.
So, and Recas, you have a couple of kids, and so I would imagine that part of that is the ability to get the memories and the journeys, the things that you guys want to be able to do as a family by being able to have those choices versus before. It sounds like it was harder to make those choices because, you're tapping into the savings or going into, a third party creditor's debt or something like that to be able to do some of the things you wanted to do. And now just the feeling of being able to, some of the liberation that comes with knowing that, hey, we can go do these things as a family and so forth, to have experience now that otherwise we would be putting off.
Well, for sure. Like, and to that point, for the summer, we're trying to, depend on how this whole COVID thing rolls out. We're not quite sure how it's going to go. My kids, we've always talked about taking them to one from the Turks and Caicos Islands originally. And, it's a very different than living down there. And I want to show them how I grew up and, why I appreciate and ask them to appreciate what they have, even if it might seem like so little, it's a lot. And that's an experience. They're 15 and 17 now, and they're old enough so that I can take them down, but it's very expensive there. We find we're planning things and not really worrying about where, like right now it's covered. We just know that once we go down, it's covered. We don't have to go into extra debt and we don't have to borrow any money. For the first time, we're planning a vacation, not even worrying about where it is money because we know it's covered. We know we don't have to do anything extra. Like, it's fantastic.
And you get to really, truly relax and enjoy your vacation.
Yeah.
So many people go on vacation and they spend the entire time soaking up their body in alcohol because they're so stressed out about how they're going to pay for the vacation that they were looking forward to so much.
Yeah.
So
sure. Yeah.
I
mean, sorry.
No, I was just going to say, like, it creates, it sounds like it's creating a very peaceful, what we talk about that Nelson said to us so often, that this creates a very peaceful, stress-free financial way of life. And what you're describing make up all the elements of that.
Right. Yeah. Speaking of that, he's, again, just a quick example of the IBC. We had a little accident with him and, it cost us $1,200 to fix it. In the past, it'd be like, but now it's like, well, okay, we wish it didn't happen, but it's not as stressful to deal with it. But what I was going to say, it gave us a new appreciation. Like I said before, we had savings, but we would put a little bit here. Maybe this month we don't do any. Maybe, okay, this time we'll do. Because we knew whenever we parted with that money, we weren't going to see it anymore right away. And that was a little harder to kind of stick to a decent savings type thing. With IBC, we realized that, the more we stick to it, it almost actually feels like the more money we're getting out of it, if that makes any sense at all. That's what
makes perfect sense.
Yeah. It's not like you put more in, then all of a sudden you have less. It's a way of living. It's a way of thinking that if I hadn't gone to that point, there's no way I would appreciate exactly what this whole IBC thing was about. And I'm listening to myself talk about all this and I'm thinking, Regis, you watch, these people like yourselves talking about stories like this and think, oh yeah, they've been paid to see stuff like that. Oh, sure, whatever. There's no way that can be true. And I'm thinking, oh man, there's going to be someone watching this who probably be thinking the same way, but trust me, I'm just a normal guy who found this program and just very excited about it and enjoying all the benefits I'm getting from it. I'm not getting paid for anything. I'm not some weird groupie or anything. Just a very thankful guy for us finding and getting into this program.
we are thinking about getting some Wealth Without Bay Street groupies. So if you want to get, the movement started, Recas, it's okay. I mean, it's fine.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And Recas, we thank you so much for sharing that, because you're right. I mean, when people are surfing around and looking at videos like this, that may be something that comes up for them, right? Gosh, I wonder if, is this person speaking from a place of actually doing this, and is this real? And the answer is absolutely yes. And that this is one of the reasons why the client series is so impactful, because we hear from people, which to anyone listening or watching, if we have occasion to hear from you, we appreciate everyone who reaches out to us to provide us with feedback and let us know what's resonating with you. Comment on the episode and let us know what's coming up for you, because it's so important as you're exploring this and you're discovering this process, to realize that Recas, all of our previous clients who were also generous with their time to come on the show, they all started somewhere, and they all it's such a familiar pattern. When I first heard about it, I thought, okay, this is interesting, but and then they more time goes by, they keep hearing it. Okay, yeah, I don't know. Maybe it isn't all that it's cracked up to be and sounds too good to be true, or whatever it is that's coming up. And then you just get to a point where it's like, I've heard it enough. I think I'm going to actually explore this and see if it's really all that in a bag of chips. And then when they get to that point, they go, why did I wait so long? That's also the most common thing that we hear.
Yeah.
If I had only, began to implement this 10 years ago. Well, you can't say that 10 years from now. You have the choice. And so I really respect you sharing that. Thank you, Recas, very much.
Yeah, no problem. And that's something I don't want my kids to. So already, when our last, get together, I talked to Sandra. And by the way, just as a quick aside, what also made this so much easier was we could turn to Sandra, and he was so patient with us. We had tons of questions. Tons of questions about the whole thing. And he was absolutely professional and patient, and sent us the document, walked us through, because like I said, at first, it can be a little bit, complicated, but if you stick, it just becomes understandable. So just last, I guess, couple weeks ago, we, let Salvo know my 17-year-old daughter, she's doing really well, and she's collecting some money. She's, and doing really well. And we sent her, hey, we got to talk about this IBC thing. And, we explained that she watched some of the videos, and I want her to get on board. All of my kids, anyone that I can speak to, say, no, just get on board, dude. So I don't want to see anyone, sitting and waiting and swimming and humming, and say, no, just do it. Just do it. So I'm getting all my kids started right away.
Wow.
Yeah.
Love hearing that.
Yeah.
And Sarblo, how did that feel to be able to have that conversation? I know that's one of the things you like most, is being able to start talking about getting the kids set up. So maybe chime in a little bit. I'd like to hear about the smile on your face when you got that, either an email or a call from Recas to start initiating things on the kids.
Yeah, Richard, so for Recas and Marianne Recas's wonderful wife. So, when Recas reached out to me with the email saying, hey, Sarblo, I think, we have a meeting coming up, because we meet so frequently, and Recas would like me to share the number of meetings that we do. And the purpose behind the meeting is not just to meet, is to execute the plan that we have in place, right? Like, Sarblo, I want to have my daughter be part of this next meeting, and I've been sharing things with her, and I want you to be introduced to my daughter, so that, if she has any questions, and we can talk about the next steps for her. And the first thing that came for me was, oh my God, this is exactly what Nelson says, is he's paying it forward by doing it intergenerationally, right? Things that we learned over the years, things that are so amazing, we want to share it. And who better to start with? This is a family, his immediate family. So I met his daughter, and it was Recas and his daughter, and we talked about, hey, here's the next steps. It all begins with education. First thing first is education, because it's about what? It's about becoming your own banker. You have to be in driver's seat. So, we decided that we're going to send some videos and this plethora of content that we have on this process, simple, easy to follow. And as Recas mentioned, they're watching those videos, and soon enough, we can have a discussion on adding another policy to their banking system to expand the family's financing system going forward. So,
Wow. That's so good. And, as children, young adults, the sooner that they're educated on this process, honestly, the easier it is. They pick up on it very quickly, and they have not been conditioned or biased in any way. And it's amazing to see. It's amazing to see, because it really, for me, clarifies what Nelson said about thinking long range and helping our families to wrap their arms around this process. And every story that we hear like that is, I don't know, I honestly have goosebumps. The impact that that's going to have on your children's children, and thinking 3 generations past your own, is just, it's remarkable. Remarkable. And, we talk about, you've heard us, Recas talk about how the process really truly is ridiculously simple, doesn't need to be sensationalized. And now that you've had experience with the policy loan process, you've had experience in recapturing debt, what would you share with people who are viewing or listening about your experience with simulating the actual process? What has that been like for you?
The most challenging part of it is getting going, understanding what it is that you're about to do. And, I tend to talk a lot, but I'll try to make this answer short. It's extremely easy. The money that you have, that you're sending out to your bills, it just goes in a different direction. That's it. But, depending on how often you want to do it, it actually comes back to you. And that's, and it's gone forever. You're paying your bill, you're still paying your bills, you're still doing everything, and it's automatic. You're not changing anything. Like when I look at what I do today, how hard I work today, how hard I worked, say pre-2018, it's no harder. But boy, life sure feels easier. And IBC, I just appreciate how easy it is. The policy law, that process in itself. Hey, so yeah, I'd like to get the policy loan. Okay, no problem, Regis. So the money shows up. Okay, thanks. That's it. We're done. At first I was thinking, okay, what about this process? Bunch of documents. Nope. Okay, payment schedules. Nope. Stick with what you're doing. That's it. Easy. I don't know if you need to expand more.
No, that's,
yeah, easy.
You explained it in a very easy way. And because people, the tendency is to make the simple complex. Gosh, could it really be this easy? Certainly there's got to be some complexity here that I need to bring into it. No, it is truly ridiculously simple. And when you hear what Recas is describing in his own utilization of the process, et cetera, it takes us back to the grocery store example in Nelson Nash's book titled Becoming Your Own Banker. That is the essence of it. You're cranking up a new business that never existed before. You are both the buyer and the seller of, in this case, money, and you are not stealing the peas. You are filling up the shelves with more cans of peas to sell to more captive customers, even if that's just within your family. And so this is just another sharp example of keep it simple. It really, truly is simple. It doesn't need to be sensationalized at all. And there wasn't, and never has been, in any client series episode that we've recorded, not one time has an existing client said, I was really amazed with the internal rate of return on the cash value and the internal rate of return on the death benefit compared to my mutual funds and the stocks that I haven't bought yet, but that I've historically looked back on for the last 4,000 years. And I'm just super impressed with the rate of return. No, people are saying, It's a peaceful, stress-free financial way of life. You just said it best. If I look at how hard I worked back in 2018 compared to now, I'm not working any harder, but boy, life sure is more peaceful.
Yeah.
What rate of return can you attribute to that? And so it's for people who are out there, we're wearing these headsets, and whenever we fly on commercial airplanes, we wear noise cancellation headsets. Turn off all that other noise because it just doesn't matter. I'm quite positive, having been the first time that I've interacted with you, Recas, in this podcast episode, that there wasn't any point along the way where you were focused on the things that just don't matter. It's just more money accumulating in your own aquarium every single day. The aquarium keeps filling up with more money.
Yeah.
And again, I ask, what is the rate of return on a peaceful, stress-free way of life? I mean, there's no comparison.
Well, and I'd really be curious to know, because you mentioned earlier when you first went to the program, you first had that wonderful encounter with Sarblo. You got your seminar fix on learning in a full day session, and then of course having many clients myself who's experienced that, you kind of came home and told your wife all about it. And you said, maybe, it was a little bit difficult at first. You said, we really got to do this, but there was some tension there, and it was maybe a little bit difficult to kind of get that next step. But now looking back on that today, if you and your wife, when you talk about your household and your finances and the direction of where your finances are going, what is it like to have conversations now versus what it was like to have conversations before IBC?
There was a point, it's a great question. There was a point when we were talking about, we're kind of, our vehicles on the way out. And I talked to Sarbo a little bit about this and how we can, engage IBC to help us about, but this is what I realized. Oh my goodness, my wife is 100% on board. What she said to me was, we're not going to be changing our plan any, are we? Like, she's concerned that somehow we're going to mess it up. Saying, no, we're not messing anything up. It's going to continue. Like, I forget how she, and at one point, she was saying, well, can we put more? Can we do more? It's like, look, I'm glad you're excited, but Sarbo, no, she's very introverted. She's very quiet, and it's very hard. Like my wife, she's great baby, everything, but unlike me, I wear my excitement on my face. Nope, she doesn't. She's a very calm, but the very little she has said so far about this program, I just know that she's 100% on board. And, and she now sees how valuable it was, because she was one of the persons that, I talked about our investment guy from before, and she was the one that introduced us to him, and we went on board. And every once in a while, I talk about that, and she's like, you know what? No, I think we're way further ahead now than then, because part of doing the program was switching, right? Like, we wanted to take that money from there, and she's like, no, it's good. She's very excited about the program. And I know if I said to her right now, hey, you know what? I think we should open another policy, or for example, bringing my daughter on board. The minute I talked about that, oh yeah, absolutely. Let's do it. None of the hesitancy that we had in 2018 with Sarbo, 2018, none of that. She was immediately, yeah, absolutely. Let's do it. The other day, hey, have you told your brother about this? I don't know. You should. Those kinds of things, you would have to know my wife more to know. That's kind of like shouting from the rooftops for her.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So good. And, one of the things that really, again, that comes up for me that is just so encouraging is hearing stories like yours. It provides us with rocket fuel, and really is a testament to just how much we love to work with people like you, who possess those optimum mindsets and really embrace the process, for your family. And so having you on the show has just it's been terrific. Sarbo.
Jason, I want to just share something. So going back to 2018, Recas, when, after the education session, we gave everybody an opportunity. Hey, if this is something you want to do, or this is something you want to see how this can be applied to your family, please book a time, book a call with the person who's been assigned to you, if you want to use that word, assigned. It just so happened we got connected, and we had a few meetings, and we laid down very clearly the objectives that you and Marianne had. And then immediately we started working towards those objectives after the policies were issued and settled, because policy is a policy, it's a product, right? And then we mapped out a plan. The plan was for us to meet based on certain timelines, initiate a policy loan, and take action towards that plan. Now, Recas, I haven't preempted you, but how many of those meetings since 2018 have been missed?
Zero.
So the reason why you are where you are in your IBC journey is because of you and Marianne. Because you took ownership of getting out of the financial prison. I was just a coach involved. I showed you the way every meeting, but you had to do all the work. So kudos goes to you and Marianne for making it happen.
It was so easy because we saw the value. And of course, you made it easy for us too.
Reminds us of the two most important words in the title of R. Nelson Nash's book, which are right here. Becoming your own banker.
And when I say how many of those meetings, we met every 3 months.
That's to start. We were meeting. That's now.
Yes.
Before, we were meeting more often. I think it was every
month, I think. Yeah, every month in the first year, and then every 3 months. So
exactly.
So there were a lot of get together, a lot of commitment, but you made it happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I wasn't going to miss that.
It's amazing. Richard, any additional questions or remarks?
I have one question, I think, before we come towards our end, and I'd really like to know, Recas, what is it like? Can you maybe just describe to folks the feeling that you and your wife get when you receive that policy loan and it lands in your bank account, and then you're able to go and fire one of the bankers in your life, one of the third-party bankers? What does it feel like to just be like, oh, I'm my own banker. I'm going to take this money and see you later. You guys are gone. And you take control over that debt. What is that like?
Can I get up and dance? And
you can if you want. Sure.
It's unbelievable. Going back to we had bills and we would invest and we would pay things off, but it almost seems like it took forever. When we started with the program, we had, I think, 5 or so major bills or credits or whatever that we had to pay. We're down to one now. What is this? 3 years. And before we knew there was no way we could have gotten those things paid on the way we have. And every time we go and we paid a bill or creditor and know that money that we just paid out, I don't even want to explain that, or just to stick to your question, it's just an unbelievable pressure release. Hey, we just paid that out. Wait, didn't we just pay out that one? No, we just paid out another one. Oh, there's another one. And now we're working on a bill that we thought it would take us years before we even consider working on. And all of a sudden we're thinking, okay, this is the last one. Then we can start paying down this monster of a bill for the house. That's a conversation we would have never been able to even think about. Now we're starting to really get excited about the fact, hey, we've got one more to go. And probably by next year, we're going to be able to start tackling, our mortgage because we've gotten all those things paid. And in the meantime, we lived. We didn't have to sacrifice vacation. We didn't have to do, it's like, what did we sacrifice? Nothing. I didn't have to go and get a second job or anything. but almost every time we meet with Sabo, we're paying off a bill. That's unbelievable. The next time we meet, we're going to take a big chunk out of our line of credit. The next time after that, it's gone.
Wow.
And take that money and replenish and carry on. Tackle the mortgage next.
Wow. Well, for people who are listening, if there's, something to get excited about listening to Recas's story, which is just amazing. And we're just so honored to have him on the show. Another thing to get excited about is 7 simple steps, each one of them being really exciting. And so just head on over to 7steps.ca. Again, that's 7steps.ca. Just ease on over there. And when you get there, all you have to do is just click a button, type your name in, your email address, and poof, you've got 7 steps to becoming your own banker that shows up instantly in your inbox. And we hope that you enjoy just how easy those 7 simple steps are. Maybe we should have named them 7 easy steps, but just how easy those steps are. And whether, again, we shared earlier, whether it's step 1, 3, 5, 6, whichever one resonates with you the most, listening to Recas's story, if that doesn't make you want to get up and dance, I don't know what will, because what an amazing description of his experience, with this process.
We're going to need a new nickname for Sarblo. Get him a t-shirt that says the debt crusher.
The debt crusher, the debt
Sure.
And like Recas said, every time he talks to Sarblo, he pays off a debt. So if you want to pay off a lot of debt, just get a hold of Sarblo. And every time you contact him, you'll pay off a debt. It's one simple step to becoming your own banker.
That's it. And he doesn't even ask any questions. It's just funny.
So speaking of Sarblo, are there any remarks or questions that you have for Recas before we wrap up the show?
Jayson, this has just been wonderful. And Recas, thank you so much for being very transparent and sharing your journey. And debt recapture is what Recas is describing, and that's a process. And that process has some moving parts. We need becoming your banker setup. We need the right client, and we need the right coach. And then all 3 can make it happen for you.
Oh, that's really good.
Yeah. You guys didn't see it. If you're watching the video, his mic's on a desk, so he didn't drop it, but it kind of felt that way a little bit. Now, Recas, so again, so much thank you. Your story was going to go a long way to helping people who are looking at this for the first time, maybe people looking at it for the second, third, or fourth time, much like yourself. And just really appreciate you being open, as Sarblo said, and transparent, because at the end of the day, we all learn from one another. And when we can help other people out like this, it makes a huge difference. Now, you may not always think of yourself as a hero. I know that what you've done for us today, what you've done for the viewers and the people who are going to watch this episode, in my opinion, you've showed up as a hero because you're sharing what's true for you. And by doing that, it can make a traumatic, monstrous impact in the lives of other people. So our question for you, Recas, is who would you like to be a hero to?
My kids. It's just that simple. No matter what I might have, what's in store for me, I would give up any and everything for my kids to say, my dad is my dad has introduced me to something, and it has made all the difference. Thank you, Dad.
Wow, that'll fill any father's heart with joy. And so Recas, thank you again so much. And we appreciate having you. We will have you back. We'd love to catch up on your journey, and you've just been just a wonderful guest to have. So thank you again. And Sarblo, Rich, and Recas, let's all make the rest of our week great. And to viewers, to listeners, well, for folks who are on the YouTubes, if you look over either one of my shoulders, I can't quite get it right anytime. I don't know where the playlist is showing up, but it's on either side of me. It's a recommended playlist of additional content that we would encourage you to continue your journey of learning and to also be inspired. Be inspired from stories like Recas's, because regardless of where you are, and this process of becoming your own banker, the infinite banking concept, can be a tremendous advantage to you, to your family, and to those who care and love you. And so thanks for stopping by. Have a great rest of your week, guys. Pleasure as always. Recas, make the rest of your day great.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys.
You bet.
Bye.